Welcome to Two Roads Crossing, a podcast production of the Christian Veterinary Mission. Do you wonder how your faith fits together with your profession? Well, join us as we explore how to live well at the intersection of two roads crossing.
Welcome to Two Roads Crossing. I'm your host, Curtis Gibbs, and this is a podcast of Christian Veterinary Mission, where we explore the intersection of faith and veterinary medicine. And if you're listening to this on the day it goes live, that is April 1st, this will be our last podcast ever. I'm just teasing. That just means it's, April Fool's Day, April 1st. So happy April Fools out there to people listening to it. And I'm here with Clive Ferguson, a vet student at St. George. Clive, welcome to the pod.
Thank you so much, Curtis. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Well, speaking of April Fools and those that are listening to it, we just had our own April Fools played on ourselves here, because the first time this has ever happened, at least to me in the history of hosting this, is we did the full episode without hitting record. And so, yeah, I don't mind. It's part of humility, right? We just show let our flaws be seen and learned from by others. So we had such a good time visiting before we hit record. We just never did it. So we are double checked and live here, Clive. So very cool. Well,
let's do it.
Well, what was awesome is we were just down there with you at St. George down there for a real life, real impact in Grenada. And it was just such a wonderful weekend last weekend, speakers and students. And I think we had near 50 of us that came or at least registered to come. So that was awesome. Tell me, what did you like about Real Life Real Impact? How was the weekend for you?
Oh man, it's always a great time every time you guys come down to the island. It's something that I look forward to. Honestly, I wish we could have it every term. Once a year is fine, but I wish we could have it every term, honestly and truly.
I hear you. I hear you.
We started off that Friday with just like the praise and worship and the fellowship, and it's always some good food that you guys bring down now. But it was a good time. And then Saturday, oh my gosh, I loved Saturday. We did the hike that morning through the mountains of Grenada. The most beautiful views you will ever see. And then we ended at Mount Cinnamon. We had dinner that evening. We had a bonfire. We got to listen to Bliss give a message. It was just great. And then we ended it all on that Sunday where we had you, Curtis, actually give a really good sermon. And it was just great to fellowship with everybody, meet everybody, and spend time with everybody. It was a great weekend.
Well, that's great. We certainly enjoy coming down there and doing this at the schools down there. And, you guys down at St. George too have a pretty cool church thing. Tell us a little bit about CSA for those that don't know about that as well.
Yeah. So CSA is a non-denominational, it's a church. Well, it's a club that functions as a church.
Yeah.
So technically we're a club, but like I said, it functions as a church. And so it's all student run. It's all student led. Like, the students are the ones that give the message. The students are the one on the praise and worship team. The students are the ones in the pews. And it's basically run like one big club and one big organization. We have probably upwards of 200 members that come on any given Sunday. So we have a pretty good turnout every Sunday. It's a great place for us to like congregate with each other, worship the Lord, and fellowship. We have potlucks. We actually have quite a bit of outreaches where we go to the prisons, we go
and it's
to
on
the
campus.
orphanages.
I mean, it's just incredible.
It's crazy how much that we actually do throughout the community of Grenada, just through that one little club. So God has been faithful.
Yeah. If you drop somebody into that building, they would say, "Oh, I'm at a church," like if they didn't, and yet, you have some mentors or board member, whatever, that are kind of there, kind of keep year round, like Mike and all those kind of folks,
Arlene
and stuff, but Cliff, but it's still at the same time, it's like you guys kind of run it. It's just amazing. It's really amazing. Well, wanted to have you on the pod to share about a couple of things, but one of them is your journey. I mean, you grew up. You're at school in the islands in the Caribbean, but you actually grew up in the Caribbean as well. So tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to vet school.
Yeah, and so I was that kid. Cliche enough, I always loved animals. Ever since I was a little kid, I know I always loved animals. I was that kid that would instead of being inside watching TV, or we really didn't have iPods at the time, but instead of sitting in front of the television, I would be outside. I'm trying to catch me a lizard. I'm playing with the stray dogs. I'm trying to pet the cats. Like, I want to be outside with the animals. That was me, right? And so I always knew that I loved animals. And then as I started to get older, because I am a first generation college student, so veterinary medicine was never even on the horizon for me. It was never even something I thought about. But thanks and praise be to God, my mom started working from this family that was extremely educated. Like, everybody went to college, and they really started to encourage me into looking into tertiary education once I got done with high school. And so that was something that was started to play on my mind. And then I got to junior high school, which in the Bahamas is grades 7 to 9. So I'm in grade 9, I'm in junior high, and I take this class called health science. And Curtis, I kid you not, I absolutely fall in love with it. I fall in love. I fall in love with the medicine, the physiology, the way medication affects the body, the way the body handles different medications. I'm
Sure.
like, this is amazing. And so at this time, I'm starting to think, like, what am I going to do with my life? And like, where do I want to be in the next 10, 15 years? And so I always knew that I loved animals, but then I also fell in love with medicine and just the way everything works with the body. I'm like, how do I combine my two passions into one? And when I did, veterinary medicine, I
Yeah.
get medicine and I get animals, I get them combined, and it's been veterinary medicine ever since,
Hmm.
ever since.
Well, that is that, yeah, that it just clicked for you there. But
There you go.
even so with that, here you are on the Bahamas. There's no vet school in the Bahamas. So
Hmm.
how did you, there's not, much specialty or much going on there, right? So how did you continue on that path? Like what had to happen to continue to get you to vet school?
Yeah, and so that click happened, right? So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I want to be a vet. That happened in junior high school. And so around that time, there we have a few vet practices in the country. And I just started, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go volunteer. Like, I want to be in this field, but I want to see what it is, you
Sure.
know? So I went out on a leap of faith and just started volunteering at places. And Curtis, I kid you not, absolutely fell in love with it. All I was doing was cleaning the kennels. Like, I was just the kennel boy. I wasn't touching any animals, but just being in that environment brought me so much joy, and it made me so incredibly happy. And so I was like, this is definitely the feel that God has for me, and this is definitely where He wants me. And so I'm just gonna fast forward us just a bit to undergrad. So I get to undergrad, and I'm like, okay, I want to be a veterinarian. So I'm like, how do I get there? I'm gonna take biology with a minor in chemistry, and so that's what I did. Started off my degree at University of the Bahamas, but unfortunately, being from the Bahamas, my university isn't accredited at most of the veterinary schools in the US. So
Well,
although I was taking the prerequisite classes that I needed, and I
yeah.
was going to have a degree in biology with a minor in chemistry, a lot of the schools just wouldn't recognize my degree because, like I said, school isn't accredited in the United States.
Oh,
And so now I'm looking at Caribbean schools, European schools, and all these other stuff. And so I'm like, okay, God, like what am I gonna do? And so, interestingly enough, there was a new school that had just opened up in the US called the University of Arizona. I'm like, okay. I was looking at their requirements, and they seem to accept international students. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. And so I end up applying to the University of Arizona. I kid you not, I get accepted. I'm excited, I'm ecstatic. I'm like, God, I thank you. Like, you're making a way, you're opening doors. And now, a little bit of backstory. I'm not from the wealthiest family in the Bahamas, and also we don't have student loans in the Bahamas. It's very much if you want higher education, you're gonna have to find a way to pay for it yourself, kind of country.
oh my, yeah.
And so I got accepted to school, and I'm just like, all right, God, like, I got accepted. Now I just need to find a way to pay for it. And so I'm reaching out, I'm fighting, trying to find sponsors and other people to like help me along this journey. But unfortunately, alas, it falls through. I'm not able to find funding, and that door closes. I'm devastated, Curtis. I'm like, man, God, I thought this was where you wanted me, but
Got in too. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, yeah.
right? but I'm like, I'm determined. I'm ambitious and I want this. I want to be a vet. I'm not going to give up. And so I start thinking, where can I go to vet school where my family could potentially scrap up enough money to be able to push me through my education?
Mhm.
So I start looking at the schools in Europe. I find a school in Poland, 10,000 US a year, which is like a quarter of the price as it is in
Sure.
America,
That is
right?
a lot more affordable. Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna apply to school in Europe. So I applied to Warsaw University in Poland, and lo and behold, I get accepted.
You
I'm
got
like,
in.
okay, God. I'm like, okay, God, this is the second acceptance, and it's a school that my family could potentially even afford. I'm like, I'm definitely going to Poland for vet school. This is the exact same time that Russia decides to attack Ukraine.
Oh my.
And my mentor looks at me. If anybody who doesn't know, Poland is right next. Like they share a border with Ukraine. And so my mentor at the time looks at me and he's like, Clive, I don't think it's a good idea for you to be traveling halfway across the world when there's an active war going on right now in our part of the world. And I'm like, you know what, Doc? I'm like, you're so right. So unfortunately for me, that door closes.
Mm,
Not for finances, but because the war, right? Something
sure.
completely out of my control. And so at this point, starting to get a bit shaky, but I'm like, God, I want this. I really desire this. I'm praying and I'm fasting. And so I started working. So while I'm working with my mentor at this time, and he just looks at me and he's like, Clive, like, have you considered like looking into St. George's University? I'm like, yeah, Dr. G, I have, but it's too expensive. It's more expensive than schools in the US. Like, I can't afford that. Like, that was the whole reason I was applying to European schools in the first place. And he just, in a very calm, polite manner, looks at me. He's like, you should apply.
Mm.
I shrugged my shoulders. I was like, okay, I mean, I don't know where I'm gonna get the money from, but I can apply. And so I end up listening to him. I step on a whim. I apply. I get the interview. The interview goes great. A couple weeks later, I get my acceptance letter. Again, I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. I'm like, okay, I got in, but I'm right back to square one.
That's three
How
for
am I
three,
gonna
Clive.
pay? That's 3 for 3, Curtis.
But
But I'm like,
usually the stories like this are people are having to bang on
yeah,
these doors to get into vet school. Like now you're in, but then your challenge is like, how am I going to make this happen? Oh my, okay.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, my story is definitely unique in that way. And so I'm like, okay, God, I got in. What now? So I tell my boss, and he looks at me. He's like, Clive, like we're gonna try work on trying to help you get a sponsor. Like we'll go through the client list and see if any of our clients would be willing to sponsor you. And I just say, okay. I shrug my shoulders. I'm like, we'll see what happens. And so I kid you not, like 3 weeks later, I get a call from my mentor, and he's like, "Hey, Clive, you know, I've seen your work ethic. I've seen how you love on our clients. I've seen like your dedication to the field and to the practice." And he was like, the practice would like step out on a women and sponsor your veterinary school education. He was like, we will cover all tuition, all housing, like anything you need, the practice is willing to cover. And I was like, God,
That's
this is
unbelievable.
the answer to this is
Yeah,
the answer to my prayer.
it
Like
is
this is
the
what
answer.
I've been praying and fasting for years at this point. After 2 rejections, God doubles back on the third time. He's like, "Here you go, my child." So that has been my journey to St. George's University. It's been a very long and tumultuous journey, but God is good and God is faithful. And look at me now.
You're there and you're moving through too. I mean, God just provides three for three, but he
Mhm.
provided for this one. And honestly, if you had gone to Arizona, we would have met you. But if you had gone to Poland, we don't have as much presence there right now. We should look
Yeah.
into that. But so for those that don't know the process as well, at St. George, it's by terms. It's still a 4-year program, but it's 3 years on the island. And the fourth year you're in clinics and stuff, typically stateside or somewhere. So tell us a little bit about that process for those that don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So once you get your acceptance and you come down to the island, you're basically gonna have 3 years of didactics, which are going to be located in Grenada. You're gonna have to fly to the island. You're gonna have to live on the island. You're gonna be on the island for 3 years, and then your fourth year, your clinical year, you spend at one of our affiliate schools, either in the United States, in Europe, Canada, Australia. Really, they have schools all over the world that you can go to that SU is affiliated with. And so how it works is our school is kind of broken down into terms. It's a bit different than the US schools. And so you have term 1 and term 2, which make up your first year, term 3 and term 4, which make up your second year, 5 and 6 make up your third year, and then 7, 8, and 9 make up your clinical year. So, because your clinical year, you don't get any breaks. You don't get a summer break. You don't get a Christmas break. You just go straight through for the 48 weeks, just going through different rotations in hospitals. And so what usually happens is from your first term, when you first get to the island, up to about your fourth term, right? So your first 2 years, they're gonna really focus in on your GPA and on your class rank. And so that's when most students are really fighting the hardest to keep their GPA as high as possible. And so because once you get to term 5 now, that's where you get to select a clinical school. But they choose which clinical school to send you based on your GPA and your class rank. And so they give you 5 options, and you have to base your option based on which one you want to go to the most, like a priority listing. But each school has like a minimum GPA. And so based on your GPA, that determines which clinical school you ultimately get to go to. And so if you have a 4.0, you're sitting pretty. You don't have anything to worry about. You can go to anywhere you want to, right? If you have a lower GPA, then you would have to pick a school that kind of like matches your GPA with their minimum requirements. And so that's really how they choose which school they're going to send you to. So you pick in term 5, and like, let's say around the 4th or 5th week of the term, usually wherever they send your application to, you usually get accepted. It's not always guaranteed, but that's 99% of the time wherever the school sends your application, we get accepted. And then once you get accepted to that school, you move on to term 6, and you spend honestly most of the term trying to prepare for clinics. You're trying to find housing, you're trying to find transportation, furniture, get your life settled. And for a student like me who's international, because we do have a few international students down here, I'm also trying to figure out visa, student visa, and all these other things that, so that's usually how it works down here. So you have 3 years of didactics, 1 year clinicals, and you basically go anywhere that the school has an affiliation with.
Well, for our listeners, let them know, where are you going? Where'd you get in?
I will be going to Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. Very excited. Not excited about the weather. Being a boy from the Bahamas, I'm not used to snow. I have never seen snow in my entire life.
Here we go. I predict you will see it in the winter. I predict.
100%. But it's definitely going to be a culture shock. Like going from, like, I was born and raised in the Bahamas, the Caribbean, very hot and sunny. Came to Grenada for vet school, again in the Caribbean, very hot and sunny, to clinics in Ithaca, New York, where one of my friends was telling me he had like 8 feet of snow, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm not accustomed to that like whatsoever. And so I'm excited, also nervous because I don't know how I'm gonna adapt to the weather, but I'm excited. It should be a good time. Yeah, and I heard Ithaca is a beautiful place.
It is. Ithaca is one of my favorite cities to visit for vet schools, but it does have some snow. So just you're gonna have to pack more than your slippers. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
time to buy some boots. But well, that's awesome. And I mean, it's quick too, right? You wrap in like May. You get like a week to get from Grenada to Ithaca, right? I mean, it's pretty quick.
Yeah, the turnaround time is quite quick, especially for my cohort. So, like you said, we get done, like our last final is May 8th. I start Ithaca May 14th. And so really just a week to get all my stuff together, get packed, get down there, get settled, and be ready for rotations. And so the turnaround time is really quite quick, especially for Cornell. Yeah.
Well, awesome. All right, excited to hear about that. So, you have that coming, and not to get too far ahead of the present, but you are progressing well and getting into Cornell. That's a great school. Is setting you up good for the future. So what are you thinking that you might want to do in the future with vet med?
Interestingly enough, even before I came to vet school, there was this show that I used to watch called Animal ER. It was based in Texas at this specialty practice called Gulf Coast Veterinary Specialist. And I absolutely fell in love with the surgery department there. Like their surgeon, Dr. Brian Beal, he would do surgeons on penguins and tigers and kangaroos and just the most complex, complicated surgeries you could even think of. I'm like, do they even do these things in human medicine?
Sure.
It was amazing. And like Curtis, I kid you not, I absolutely fell in love with that. And from that show on, all throughout, I knew that I want to go into surgery. And so my goal after graduation next year is to complete a small animal rotating internship, go on to completing a 3-year residency program in surgery, and then God's willing, become a board certified veterinary surgeon. I would be the first Bahamian to be board certified in anything actually, but in surgery specifically.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
That's quite something. And I mean, you're
Yes,
you're
sir.
kind of the first in your family to go into school and stuff like that too. Isn't that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes,
wow.
sir. First generation.
Well, Clive, we are rooting for you. And so one of the cool things too about CVM and our connection to you there through our Real Life Real Impacts is one of our frequent speakers, pair of speakers actually that go down there and speak are John and Deb Motter, who are surgeons. And so
Mm-hmm.
you've kind of been able to make a special connection with them. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Absolutely love the Martyrs. Interesting story behind that. So not this past one, Real Life Real Impact. Last year, I got invited from a friend who knew I was trying to walk the Christian life, and he knew I was interested in like surgery and stuff like that. So he invited me. He's like, "Hey, bro, you should come to the conference. You'll really enjoy it." And so I'm at the conference with him. I'm loving it. I'm talking to everybody, having a good time, and me and him was sitting down during one of the services, and he's like, bro, like I think you should talk to Dr. John. I was like, why? What's up? He's like, I think he's a surgeon. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he said it was a surgeon last time we was here. I'm like, no way. He's like, yeah. So we started the suture lab, and I finally get a chance to talk to Dr. John. I'm like, hey, how you doing? My name's Clive. It's good to meet you. I had a friend tell me that you might be a surgeon. Like, could you tell me a little bit more about that? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm a surgeon. We're in a practice down in Louisiana. And he's telling me about it, and I'm just like, I'm enthralled in the conversation. I'm trying to pick his brain. I want to know everything I could possibly know about the guy.
Sure.
And then his wife comes over, and I'm like, Dr. Deb, like, what does it feel like to be married to a surgeon? Like, it's so cool. Your husband's a veterinary surgeon. She looks me dead in the face, and she's like, so am I. I'm like, what? Like two surgeons back to back? I'm like, okay. So I'm asking them questions. I'm trying to pick their brain. Like, I'm like, I need to get to know you guys as much as I can. And I'm like, we need to exchange contacts. And Dr. Deb's like, if you want to do an internship with us, like, you can just come on down to Louisiana. And I was like, 100% I want to do an externship. So I'm like, let's lock it in. Let's lock in the dates. And then she asked me, she was like, do you have any family in Louisiana that you could stay with? And I was like, I don't. I was just going to try to figure out house in some way, somehow. And she looked at me and she was like, if you want, we have an extra room. You can just stay with us. And I'm like, praise be to God. You don't have to tell me twice. I'm
That's some
like, let's do it.
hospitality there. That's some hospitality. Yeah.
That's Southern hospitality, Chris. And so we fast forward to that summer, or last summer. I book a flight, head down to Louisiana. They pick me up from the airport. They house me in their home, and I had my own room. And they were nothing but kind and loving and hospitable to me. Two of the best people that I've ever met in my entire life. Dr. John took me to work with him, showed me the ins and outs of veterinary surgery, of being a specialist, and like what it really meant, right? Because I've only seen it on TV shows and on YouTube videos, but to actually be in the environment and see the cases and work with the people, like that's a completely different experience. And
Sure.
so
Yeah.
he was my first introduction to actually experiencing it like in real life, and absolutely fell in love with it. But it wasn't all work. Like we just did a lot of fun things. They took me down on a swamp tour, so I got to start a bayou, and he showed me gator. We tasted gator. Got a real Cajun experience down in
Cajun.
Louisiana. I had a
Yeah, that's
great time.
good. That's good. That's
But
awesome.
I had a great time down there in Louisiana with the Marlins. They're great people.
Yeah. Well, I know, y'all are close. And so just from your perspective now too, then what what makes a good mentor? I mean, what was it about them that really helped you along in your journey? I mean, both in
You know,
faith and in vet med. I would say with both aspects of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I would say, especially with Dr. John, because I worked very closely with him in terms of doing the surgeries.
Mhm.
Man, it was his patience. It
Mhm.
really was. It was the way he was so patient, not only with me, because coming from the Bahamas, like I said, we don't have any specialty practices in the Bahamas. So I only knew GP medicine, right? I
Yeah.
didn't know all these specialized things, and I didn't know how to maneuver in the OR, where to stand, what to touch, what not to touch. And so coming into that environment, like it's a very like high strung environment, but man, Dr. John was so incredibly patient with me, so incredibly patient. And what I loved about him as well is he was willing to teach. Like he didn't just expect me to know. Like he was willing to teach and he was willing to tell me like, hey, this is what you do. This is not what you do. And he was patient with me because I made a few mistakes here and there,
Mhm.
but he was patient with me. He was willing to work with me and to teach me and to mold me. And man, I really appreciated that. And then also from the faith aspect, because they are the owners of the practice. And I loved the way they handled their staff, that they handled their colleagues. Like you could see that they were being the salt and the light of the earth in everything that they tried to do. Like even in the most intense situations where he's in the middle of surgery and he has to like try to finish up quick because the dog needs to get off of anesthesia, like the way he would be graceful and have joy and have peace and just really emphasize and display the fruits of the spirit to his staff, even in moments of like high stress. Man, I loved that. Like it really made an impact on me. And so I'm like that is who I want to be in the future. Like I want to be able to be the salt and light of the earth like that. And so it was definitely his patience and his willing to teach that makes him a great mentor. And I think that's what makes a great mentor. Just being patient with your new grads and being willing to teach them, because they aren't going to know everything and they are going to make mistakes. And you have to be willing to work with them through those mistakes.
Wow, that's powerful. Well, Clive, then is this you know um opportunity in your life, continues to roll forward, you know, you were what how do you see this playing out? Do you think you might go back to the Bahamas? Do you think you know do you desire to be stateside? Is that just kind of up in the air? What's you got a little ways to go, not getting ahead of the present, but what
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
So that's an interesting question. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially since I do know I want to be a specialist. So post graduation, I'm just gonna have to stay in America for those next 4 to 5 years to specialize because I
Sure.
can't do it back home. And so, but after that, it's really like I love the idea of being the first board certified veterinary surgeon in the Bahamas and opening a specialty practice there. I think that would be beautiful. Like, I think I could really contribute a lot to my country and to, give back to my mentors who sponsored my education, right?
Yeah.
So I think that would be a beautiful way for me to give back. But I also like I love the States, like the caseload, the things that you see, the equipment that you get to use. So I think I might do a little bit of back and forth, you know. And as a specialist, you kind of have that freedom because you are in a high demand. And so as it stands right now, I think I want to own my own specialty practice in the Bahamas doing specialty surgery, but pop over to the US every now and again to see some really cool, fun cases.
Yeah.
Probably even work with the moderates, who knows?
That's right. Or you might, New York, you might miss the snow. Who knows? You might.
Oh,
Oh, well, Clive, that's awesome. And we've loved these real life, real impact times to get to connect where it starts our journey together and look at where it goes. I mean, look at where this has gone for
amen.
you. And that's just one story. And it's both ways, because you're a blessing to them, you're a blessing to me, and you're a blessing to us. Um, so give us one last thought then, as you go into your career, as you've sort of seen it, how do you plan to, bring your faith and vet med together?
Yeah. Also thought about this a lot. I think for me, it's definitely going to be, and I didn't really know how to incorporate my Christianity with my profession, with my career prior to CVM. I think CVM really opened my eyes to, yes, you can be a successful and competent veterinarian and still honor and glorify God with your career. And so I think one thing that I definitely 100% want to get into is mission trips. Like, yes, I want to be a surgeon, but I want to use these skills that God is going to bless me with to glorify and to honor Him. Like, I want to go into underserved communities and I want to share the gospel with people through my skills. I want to use my skills to open up a door to connect with people. And even outside of mission trips, just even in my daily working life back home, wherever that may be, I want to be the salt and light of the earth, like I was explaining with Dr. John and Dr. Deb. I want to be able for people to look at me and see there's something different about that guy. That guy has Christ within him. Like, I want to use my profession to be able to touch people. So people are very attached to their animals. People love their animals. If I could use me helping an animal as a gateway to speak the gospel to someone, I'm definitely gonna do that. That's how I'm gonna use my career and my Christianity to share the word and to incorporate those two, right? Some people will definitely be opposed to it. But hey, that's the world we live in, right? Some people are gonna be open, and God willing, like, I will ask, like, hey, can I pray with you? Like, some people are gonna be having a hard time, right? Like, your dog needs surgery. Hey, can I pray for you before we go into the surgery? Some people are going to say yes, some people are going to say no, but ultimately it's in the Lord's hands. And so all I can do is try. And that is definitely what I'm going to do.
That's awesome. Well, Clive, that's great stories. We'll have to check back in and see about your journey, see how it goes, see how the the time in the snow, but also the time of what happens in your career as it's progressing along. But God has His hand on you, and we're proud of you, and we're excited to see where this goes. So thank you for encouraging us and sharing some thoughts with us. The moderators, they don't know that I'm doing a podcast with you now. They're my next episode. And so I'm kind of excited to let them know that they might or might not be mentioned in the episode as I'm recording with them soon. So
awesome. That's going to be fun.
It'll be fun for y'all to follow each other in the podcast series there. So, well, listen, thank you for what you're doing. We're excited to see what happens for you. And thank you for just showing us how to live life well at the intersection of faith and vet med of Two Roads Crossing.
Thank you for listening to Two Roads Crossing, a podcast production of the Christian Veterinary Mission. If you are blessed by this content, like and subscribe so that you are alerted when new content is released. If you would like more information about CVM, or if you have questions, comments, or topical suggestions, you can find us online at www.cvm.org. Or you can contact us by emailing podcast@cvm.org. God has a plan for the nations, and that plan includes you. We pray that CVM has encouraged you to live out your calling with confidence and competence. So, until next time, may the voice of the shepherd ring loud and clear as you follow him in faith to the intersection of Two Roads Crossing.